what people perceive as failure can actually be what is an opportunity for you to learn and grow in grace and in your life journey.
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow.
Hi Tams, thank you so much for being here and agreeing to do this with us. We are so excited to just ngobrol-ngobrol with you. So before we start, maybe you can introduce yourself and tell us one fun fact about you. I mean, you can tell one or more fun fact, the more the merrier. So, excited!
My name is Tora Wu. I'm currently the CEO of Liberty Society. I also co-founded Second Chance Initiative back in high school. I'm also head of community at Spark Indonesia at the moment. It's a wadah untuk young leaders like yourself to partake in what it means to lead a life for social change. I was a cheerleader back in middle school, but then now I'm a skateboarder. So I go the broad range of sports.
So we're gonna be talking about purpose today, and Tams, I think you're one of the few people that we know, and especially at a very young age, you're so much younger than us, but you know what you want and you've accomplished so much and you've inspired so many people. And not only that, you've impacted so many lives as well with all your initiatives, and that is just amazing to see. But we also believe that in order for you to be here, you must have gone through quite a lot as well. It's a process, it's not an instant. So we kind of want to focus on that and just share us what did you have to go through and how did you get here?
Boleh. First was when I think tadinya mau jadi dokter, and then last minute I didn't become a doctor, and then I was flew out to the States karena my father didn't allow me to study back in Indo. Secondly, major was I dropped out from school. I knew I wanted to live, get married, find a husband in America, blah, blah, blah. It didn't happen. I went back home. I couldn't find a job for almost 1 year because I didn't have a degree. And all my friends were back in the States. They were enjoying, they graduated. And what is society's perception of me? Oh, she's such a failure. And I think that will be one of the things that I want to kind of usher into the discussion today. What people perceive as failure can actually be what is an opportunity for you to learn and grow in grace and in your life journey.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what happened in the process? Because I think you've gone through so much, but is there a particular moment that triggers you to pursue what you are doing now?
My personal story was I experienced great injustice in my life. So if you ask me what I'm passionate about, I'm passionate about justice. Why? Because I lost a sister in a car accident back before I went to college. What happened was we sued the car company, huge car company. We lost the court case because we couldn't pay enough money. Was that just? Not at all. Was that a failure of justice? Yes. How did other people failure and how do I perceive that failure? Of course, I would think this is unjust, but that sense of injustice that I took, it didn't make me an angry person. It can make you bitter or it can make you better. I was bitter. I wouldn't lie to you. It's not that everyone is perfect. I was bitter for about 3 to 4 years of my life. I was a very, very different person than who I was today. When you see an injustice, you can never unsee it. Even if you try to unsee it, it's going to be somewhere in your heart. A lot of people suppress that. I chose not to with my friends. Jadi ada beberapa faktor yang memang contribute to why it started. Satu adalah the right value that was implemented, knowing that your life is for a purpose and that purpose is always bigger than yourself. Desmond Tutu bilang, my humanity is bound up from yours. So that just kind of gave me such a huge calling towards others. Second adalah the right community. Jadi my teman-teman juga sama-sama semangat banget buat ngebantuin teman-teman yang itu kena banjir ya, mulainya dari banjir. Dari banjir itu jadinya ke panti asuhan ke komunitas, dan lain-lain. Sampai sekarang masih lanjut. Jadi I think kalau misalnya dulu orang kerennya clubbing, kalau dulu teman-temanku yang menurut mereka keren itu adalah membuat dampak untuk sekitar.
And I think it's very important what you said about injustice, how when you see injustice, it's impossible for you to unsee it, but then a lot of people choose to kind of like sweep it under the rug and choose not to do anything just for the sake of convenience. And I totally understand that. So it's very inspiring for me to see that, you know, such a young woman has the guts to actually do something for something that she fights for. So thank you for being such an inspiration. And another thing that I'm curious about is how, you know, the perspective of success. Because when we talk about purpose, especially our journey to meeting our purpose, success seems to be integrated at the core. So I'm really interested to see your point of view around success. What is your definition of success?
Honestly, I don't label myself I'm a failure or I'm a success, because that is so much of a burden that I put on myself. And I will never reach success. I don't know what failure means because it's different by different people. Seperti yang tadi Manda bilang kan, lebih bagus kita seeing it as a journey rather than an end goal. We're so obsessed with looking at everything for the success, the outcome, what we ended up doing in life, and we miss the journey. But life is all about the process. So misalnya nih, ketika aku nggak lulus kuliah, balik ke sini, nggak dapat kerjaan, what did I end up doing? What people don't see was, I nganggur sama 1 tahun, 1,5. I was just a volunteer in organization yang kecil-kecil sampai my parents bilang, I put you to school in the States and all you did was start a perusahaan baju. I don't care about that, to be honest, because my purpose was so grounded. I know what I want to, I know who I want to be. It's not always what I want to do, karena ketika aku nggak bisa tinggal di States lagi, I just didn't know what to do. Actually, I wanted to lulus S1, ambil S2, blah, 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 blah. That is what success looks like in a traditional world's point of view, right? Tapi the path I took was the path less traveled. What that means is, I shouldn't base my success based on what other people see. I don't even judge myself in that sense. So that's where I feel the joy comes in, where I'm not so fixated on, oh, ini do I please my parents gaya kalau I ngelakuin kayak gini. There's so much shame when you mention the word of failure. My mentor tell me, fail fast and fail forward. And you never fail. Yes, you do fail back, but fail forward. In that sense, you always continue to learn. And my belief, because it's so strong, it's grounded in the fact that if there is a maker on earth who desires our best and who understands our limitation as a human being that we fail, then I know that I am safe in my future. So, itu sih. Jadi, walaupun waktu itu masa-masa yang sangat sulit selama 1 tahun itu, kayaknya sekarang aku ngeliat ke belakang, ngeliat tarik mundur, it's actually fine. And I never really, because I still don't know what to do. Mungkin aku masih mau jadi menteri, aku masih mau jadi all these things, but I don't put so much fixation on what I will do. It's always who I am becoming. There's a really good verse that says, or quote that says, I want to be a giver of hope, a giver of life, a giver of love. My personal motto, I don't know what yours is, you should think about that, but it's walk humbly, love mercy, and do justice. As simple as that.
I really like your approach about that personal motto, and I really need to start thinking about that. So that's gonna be my homework this weekend. Thank you, Tams. And okay, so going back to that motto, I want to know more about how does it correlate with your purpose? So what does it do? Does your motto become sort of like a guidance that helps you to meet your purpose? And also about purpose itself, does your purpose change from time to time? Since life is a journey, so whenever you move on to the next phases of life, does your purpose change or does it stay the same?
I thought my life purpose is in becoming Forbes 30 under 30, but maybe in this life season, it's just literally just being kind to my dad who is downstairs right now. Jadi, because I have a bigger version of my job is to love people, then I can be more secure and it never changed. The core never changed. It can look different, the core never changed.
And also about failure. Failure is unavoidable gitu. Kayak kadang kita udah do our best, tetap aja something happened, like this pandemic, for example. A lot of people have worked really hard and, it's something that is unpredictable. Sometimes you cause yourself to fail. Sometimes it's external causes that is very unpredictable that causes your hard work that you've been working on to fail. So, but also at the same time, we've been reading, there are a lot of quotes, a lot of advices that we receive saying that failure sebenarnya is just a part of the journey, and sometimes it also helps you to meet your purpose. What do you think about that?
Really. I love that. Definitely. I wouldn't say that all failure necessarily it makes you closer to your purpose. It depends on the person. How are you feeling your failure? It's the same statement as experience doesn't make you better. It's evaluated experience that makes you a better person. Jadi that concept still goes for me. So in the way that I see failure that I wish can bisa bagi-bagi untuk teman-teman adalah I never believe there is a coincidence. Life happens for a purpose. Sometimes the purpose sucks, or it's just because of other people's punya behavior that you fail. For example, ada aja kan, bukan karena sesuatu yang kamu buat. Nggak apa-apa, karena kalau misalnya kamu melihatnya goal akhirnya adalah who you're becoming, apakah kamu jadi orang yang lebih baik, lebih mengasihi, lebih just, then so be it. But you see how I wasn't bitter because the story doesn't end with me. If life is all about you, then my failure or suffering ends with me. It doesn't. I make that into for other people. It creates a bridge. And that's where the purpose comes, being a bridge builder for what? For me to show that suffering is never for nothing.
So basically what you're saying is the focus of purpose should be dibalikkan, not on what you're doing, rather on your being. So who you want to be, and that should be the focus of your purpose, and what you're doing is just a manifestation of who you truly are. That's one way to see it. Nah sekarang tapi kalau misalnya emang sudut pandangnya kita balik jadi kayak gitu, sedangkan the world that we live in now, the focus is different. The focus is always on what you're doing, what have you accomplished, and that somehow that makes who you are. So kalau sampai sudut pandangnya kita balik kayak gini, does that mean it's okay for people to not do anything?
It's a very different sense than I'm okay with doing nothing. Being nothing in the eyes of the world, I'm okay with that. Doing nothing, I wouldn't do that. If my worth is so wrapped up in what I do, then when I'm successful in the eyes of the world and I am, for example, for 30 under 30, the weight of the burden of performing constantly to maintain that image, it will crush you. So in that sense, I'm very ardent on people finding their identity and purpose in who they are before what they do, because if they fail in what they do and their purpose is there, they find their meaning in there, it will just crush you. It will be much more difficult for you to get back up.
That is legit on point. Basically, if I can summarize, intinya kan, so I think a lot of millennials, a lot of our peers, our friends even, juga bisa relate to this. So purpose cannot be defined with your career or what you do. Because if you make your career your identity and your purpose, so let's say that the company that you've been building all of a sudden collapse because of something that is unpredictable, then that means your purpose is collapsing too. And yeah, that's just so sad. So I think thank you, Thames, for decoding purpose for us. We're learning so much. And just last few questions. Do you have any tips, advice to our friends, our fellow young friends?
And people are so crippled by what they don't know, they don't end up doing anything. People are so crippled by, oh, what's my purpose? They never actually ask themselves, what do you enjoy? Purpose is discovered. It's not something yang kayak, oh, kadang orang dapat, kadang orang enggak. Jadi, don't put so much pressure on just focusing on finding your purpose. I think people should do more exploration.
Ooh, one more question. This is actually a real question that a lot of our friends actually has been asking. Jadi sebenarnya tahu dari mana sih if your purpose is a calling from God? How do I know what God wants us to do? Jadi iya kadang-kadang gimana cara taunya gitu if this is something that God wants us to do. For example, like you immediately know that this is the calling or this is the fight that you have to do in your life. How do people discover that? Do you have any tips?
I have such a strong calling because of my experience, because it was so extreme and intense. For a lot of people, it's just not like you end up graduating college and then you take a job and then what? Kayaknya di situ kebanyakan confusionnya di situ ya. And maybe God gives you freedom for you to do what you want. And it doesn't have to cripple you. Malah kayak, oh enak banget, God gives you the freedom to do what you want, and that's okay, because He gives you a brain for a reason. You're not a robot. Aku mau kasih reference. Ada namanya Odyssey Plan by Stanford Design Lab. You have to create 3 versions of a life that you dream of in the next 10 years.
Thank you, Thames. You're amazing. Stay safe.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Bye.
You have to bear that you can't carry. I'm right up the road. I'll share your load if you just call me.